Are you safe with this movie? Let's find out. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'd like to talk about a movie called Safe from 2012. This movie stars Jason Statham as Luke Wright. It's directed by a gentleman, I'm going to mess up his name, but I think it's Boz Yakin is the gentleman's name. This movie came out in April of 2012 on a budget of $30 million. And unfortunately, upon release in the US, it only made $17 million, worldwide $41.5, which is unfortunate because I think this movie is a good, fast, R-rated action picture. And Jason Statham is definitely one of our better action heroes by far. I like Jason Statham a lot in this movie. I like him in most of his movies. Some of his movies are better than others, honestly. I'm not a big fan of the Transporter series, but I think movies like this, the Mechanic remake, I liked. I liked him in Expendables. I like him in the movie called The Bank Job, obviously Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, and Snatch. In this movie, we also have Catherine Chan as May. The great Chris Sarandon, they'll remember from Fright Night, is the mayor of the city. Robert John Burke as Captain Wolf. I always remember him from Thinner. And the great James Hong as Han. Funny enough, in this movie, Chad Stahelski, the gentleman who directed John Wick, co-directed John Wick 1 and directed 2 and 3, was the action choreographer on this film. So that's a pretty cool little... And you could tell, and the action scenes are very well done. Although they're a little quick cut, but they hit hard. They're fast. Jason Statham's great in the role. And let's get into it. Pretty much Jason Statham, at the beginning of the film, he cage fights for a living now. He used to be a former cop, and now he cage fights for a living. And he ends up knocking this guy out, and he broke this guy's jaw in the first round. And he was supposed to lose. As a matter of fact, he goes to see this guy in a casino or this off-track betting kind of place, and he's like, "Where'd you find this guy? I knocked him out with one punch." And the guy gives him shit and saying about how the Russians are going to be pissed because they lost a lot of money. And he beats up a couple guys and he takes off. And, well, we find out the Russians really are pissed because when he gets home, there's a couple Russians waiting for him, and he killed his wife. And he pretty much goes, it's a cool shot. It shows him going to the bedroom to find his wife, and he just comes out the hallway, starts walking down. And behind him, you see guys start filing out of the bedroom. And he gets down on his knees in the living room, and he's surrounded by these Russians. And his head's pretty much hanging, and they say they're not going to kill him, and they wish he had more relatives for him to kill. But if he talks to anybody or tries to make friends with anybody, they're going to kill him. Basically exiling this guy. And they leave, and they let him go. And they think he's just a trash collector, which he even says later, I don't know where you got bad information. I'm not a trash collector. They introduce this little girl in China. She's very smart. And James Wong plays this basically Chinese mafia guy who wants her. She's very good at counting and remembering numbers. And he wants her to go to America and keep track of the numbers for him for his casinos and all this other stuff and his businesses there. And he basically tells her if she does that, they'll take care of her sick mother. If she don't, they're gonna kill her mother. So obviously this little girl who's like 8 or 9 decides, okay, and she agrees and goes, and they take her to New York. This movie was actually filmed most Philly and New York. Most of the film was filmed in Philadelphia, but they did film somewhat in New York City as well. So he gives her over to this other guy. He says, "This is gonna be your new father, and he's gonna take care of you." And he's kind of like James Hong's enforcer. She goes to the U.S. and does the numbers, keeps track of the numbers for all of his businesses. And meanwhile, Luke Wright, Jason Statham's character, basically is a homeless person. He sleeps in shelters, and during the day he just kind of bums about until he has a run-in with his ex-police people he used to work with in the police department. They don't like him because he gaslit them years ago about how they were taking money. And he ends up getting beat up by them, and they want to kill him, but they don't, and they let him go, and they tell him he should just kill himself and get it over with. And he goes along his way and ends up in the subway station. And he's down there kind of contemplating life, and all of a sudden he sees this little girl who happens to get away. She got kidnapped by the Russians because she has a number that's very important to the Chinese people, and the Russians want it. She gets away, and she's in this subway station, the same one Luke's in. And he sees her and he's kind of watching her, and all of a sudden he sees a bunch of big Russian guys walk by, and he knows this little girl's in trouble. And it's almost like this guy had no purpose in life. And this one look at this little girl gave him renewed his purpose in life. And he decides to help her. He gets on the subway train, beats up a bunch of Russians, kills some of them, and rescues her. And now not only is he being chased by the Russians, but he's also being chased by the Chinese. And there's a really cool extended shootout and fight scene in this hotel that he goes to. And basically, he finds out the mayor's involved, who he used to work for. We've learned that the mayor had brought Jason Statham in and this other guy to clean up the city after 9/11. And they would do things that other cops couldn't do. And they were so effective at it. And they thought he was gone out of the city. And when they realize he's back, they realize he's a problem. And they tell the Chinese and the Russians they better kill him. Because the mayor has information on a bunch of people, and the Chinese are buying it off the mayor with, I might have the number wrong, but $30 million in the safe in the basement of one of their casinos. Which Luke talks his old cop mates into going into the casino to get the money. Because by this point, the Chinese have the little girl back. And the only way to get her is to trade the money for the little girl's life. And we go back and forth, and by the end of the movie, Luke has a showdown with this guy that works for the mayor, and by this point, all the Chinese guys are dead, and a lot of Russian guys are dead. And Jason Statham kills this guy, and the little girl and him end up with the money, which they give back to James Hong's character to get him off his back. They keep all the information, the lists, and they tell everybody, if you mess with us, we're going to release this list, and you're going to get gaslit. And at the end of the movie, it's a really sweet moment between him and the little girl saying, I don't think I could be your father. She goes, I don't want a father, I want a friend. And he basically tells her, till my dying day, I will be your friend. How about we head out west to Seattle? And that's pretty much the movie. This movie's 94 minutes long. It's very quick. Yes, sure, there are some plot holes, but it's actually a really effective, hard-hitting, R-rated action movie, and Jason Statham is great in it. All the actors do good work here. And the movie keeps moving. Like, it doesn't stop for you to catch your breath. Once it sets up the story, it just keeps moving forward until the end of the film. I just rewatched this the other night. I really like this movie. It's a quick R-rated action film. I would give this one a 7.5 out of 10. I enjoyed it enough. Yes, there's plot holes. Like, why didn't Luke act sooner with taking out the Russians and the Chinese? He could have did it any time instead of living like a homeless person. But if you get past all that, the interaction with him and the little girl, I mean, they don't dwell on it too much, but it's sweet how he cares for her and wants to protect her. And she kind of realizes that he really is her friend and he's not using her for anything. And it's nicely done. The action's well shot. I mean, there's a little bit of too much quick cutting, but overall, you could see the fights and Jason Statham doing all the moves. I mean, he's a really good action star and he knows how to fight in real life. For me, I give it a 7.5 out of 10 for safe. If you haven't seen it, I'd suggest checking it out if you like Jason Statham as an action star. But that's it for me for safe. Hit the like and subscribe button down below. Leave a comment if you've seen this movie. Tell me what you thought about it, and I will be back soon with another review. Thanks. Bye.